depending on the way this game goes today. We can not showing this evening. This show was brought to you by ExpressVPN. You don't make sure that that's also going to still going to save some money and everything that are benchmarks. There is some contract conversation that we need to talk about in regards to Red Talking. Don't expect to hear any news about an extension for Talking anytime soon. Sports news to be McIntyre when is at the bench, possibly behind the bench, or a trade for no leverage. So as soon as we turn out, Talking is not really having any sort of thought being put into this future. It doesn't seem like the Canucks are going to go out there and try to negotiate anything right now either. The Canucks are focused purely on making the playoffs, and as such, the coaching staff is right in the thick of it too, at the forefront there. I don't think we'll see any sort of the anti-Rick Tocchet sentiment on social media has grown to a significant capacity the past little while here on the deal a couple of weeks ago, shifting then the focus towards a trade that didn't materialize. The Stars having acquired the matching 20 goals and 21 assists through 61 games after allowing 40 goals and 33 assists just last season. It's believed that he turned down a 5-year, $40 million extension earlier in the season, but it's unclear what Vancover's most recent offer was. And when it comes to this Rochester thing, we did speak about this in the last video on the channel. That if Rochester ends up leaving, but you're going to use some extra cap space to get like a phone war or something out of New York, Vesser rejecting a $50 million AAV deal. So it was a pretty unique conversation point for the Canucks fans, because it's like, hey, of course the Canucks don't want to think it too long of a time with Rochester. He's already slowed now, and actually he's going to be 5 years. $8 million is already a lot of money. He's not even producing like an $8 million a year guy. He might have been doing that last season, when JT Miller was feeding bucks well like center. But now, when he's by himself, he's got Petey. It was a pretty big talking point, but he was struggling for most of the year. And then the game against our 70th guy is back, even though he has not been present with the Canucks for most of this season so far. Whether or not that guy's worth $8 million a year, you can debate amongst yourselves. But the hard facts are that Brock Besser has not been great this season compared to expectations, and in contract talks, they could have definitely struggled because of that. Moving forward, on to other Canucks movements here. While it's clear that Canucks picked up their appeal as part of the JT Miller trade early in the season, don't be surprised if they have another center this summer. I'll be revealing the same interview with Arizona. Definitely will do that in the offseason, or with that sweet trade of the agency signing. Maybe Suter is certainly becoming a a big this summer, so if he departs, they will certainly have another opening down the middle to fill, while Healy's concussion history will likely motivate them to get some more center depth as well. And if that depth includes said Suter, I hope it does. Really. Yesterday, they had Thomas Trans and Alfred Brush speaking out about how Drake's does feel like the Canucks feel they have an avenue to re-sign Suter. I mean, the guy was signed like 2 seasons ago, and he has been so good as a middle six, all situations, and play on the first line with Miller and Besser if you need him to as a winger, and be a nice wing center. It does score a decent amount of 5v5. There's a lot of value that Suter brings, and the cheating of it all this season in eclipsing the 20-goal mark for the first time in his career definitely serves to give him a boost on potential earnings next season and beyond, whether it's with Vancover or another team. I'm not saying Suter is like a top 6 center or anything, but as a middle 6 guy who can play really anywhere in the lineup, you have a lot worse options available on the table here. Suter is one of the better ones, I feel. So for Vancouver, if they find a way to re-sign Suter, even if it's at like a $4 million AAV mark, I mean, the guy got 20 goals. He's able to do that. And the versatility he provides, I think, is worth way more than the $1.6 million that he has been on per season the past 2 years here in Van. So honestly, Suter, super underrated guy. If the Vancouver Canucks find a way to sign him like Thomas Trentz thinks the Canucks have an opportunity to do, then I'm all for it. Bring him back. Let's see what he's got next season as a part of this middle core. Finally, let's get back over to the article and read the last point on this Canucks notes article. Canucks prospect Aiden Celebrity is expected to return to Boston University next season. relays Max Miller on the Sharks Hockey Digest. The 20-year-old defenseman was a 6th round pick by Vancouver back in 2023, 171st overall. He's close to wrapping up his sophomore season with the Terriers, and it's a goal and 5 assists in 26 games this season. The Canucks hold celebrating his rights through August 15, 2027. And yeah, that's true. Aiden Celebrini is Macklin Celebrini's brother, and he's on the EU with Tom Belander doing some pretty good things. Now, to be fair, Tom Belander is a lot more productive, and I'd say that he's a more, because when Belander leaves, maybe guys like Aiden Celebrini will be given more of a role and more importance in the lineup. He didn't produce too many points this season. He's not going to give him too much of an offensive duty. He's definitely not in the same vein as his brother, Macklin. But Aiden Celebrini as a prospect in the Canucks system, having that look at the deal for catching Vancouver for now, is a pretty reasonable move for his development as a Canucks prospect. So we'll see whether or not Aiden Celebrini has more to offer next season. For now, though, he's shooting up with Rangers are going to get ready post-medical second national championships in a few weeks here. So what are your thoughts in the comment section below on all these Canucks notes? From Talking to Betzer to Suter and Aiden Celebrini. Stay tuned for after the Canucks game because the post-game show is going to be available here on the YouTube channel. Hope you enjoy this special show. Bye. Stuff in the last. That's done. Disclaimer, I say this once in a while because I feel like it needs to be said. I am not a journalist. I don't go out there and report what happens, quote unquote, exclusively. I just go out there and talk about what I want to talk about. And today, we're talking about an idea that I saw last night. This tweet was posted at 11-something p.m. on March 19th. I saw it, I slept on it, and today I revisited it in my mind, and I was like, you know what? The more I think about this, it really makes sense. And the more I think, we as a collective fan base might need to open ourselves up to the idea of it. Or maybe not, maybe it's unrealistic. I don't know, maybe two things can be true at the same time. Today, the Vancouver Canucks are playing off against the St. Louis Blues in what is going to be the most important game of the year. This game is make or break. Regulation win for Vancouver, and everything is set in place. Regulation win for St. Louis, and the Canucks go down the drain. But before talking about that game, I wanted to talk about this. It's a tweet made by EP40 All-Star Sammy Nutsep. Great Twitter account, by the way, those were just their username, straight up. But they made this tweet last night, and I wanted to read it to you here. And I decided that given the precedent given this summer, with Norris and Cousins on the market, I cannot think of a team willing to sell a center iceman besides the New York Islanders. They're looking like they're heading into a rebuild. Will Bo Horvat be a Canuck once again? And this tweet, at the time of recording this audio, has about 16,000 views, and a whole bunch of people, 17 now actually, a whole bunch of people going up there and replying that they said this positivity. Sammy upset and replies saying this: many teams are desperate for playoff experience. Not too many teams go into the rebuild as we saw at the deadline. Most teams are looking to make hockey trades, not really for futures. The Islanders, Predators, and the Kraken are the only ones thinking about becoming sellers this offseason. Bo Horvat becomes the most valuable center iceman out of those three teams that are looking to start rebuilding. He makes a lot of sense to me. He drives plays, he's a power play bumper, he's got leadership, familiarity, the rising cap makes $8.5 million friendly, he's signed till 2030, leadership again, size and scoring. And the interesting thing is, people in the replies and were saying, yeah, it's a crazy idea, whatever, and then Albert said, you know what, the more I think about it, the more it actually makes sense, and the more it's not a bad thing. The show is brought to you by Expensive Beer Mart. If you go under and pick up that first logo in the description and say some money under ATF, get some free lunch, and support this YouTube channel in the process. Here's why I think it actually does make sense. Firstly, 8.5 million. It's not the size one, really. You think about what the Canucks are offering Brock Besser. Assume he leaves, okay? Assume he does re-sign in Vancouver and tries to get the bag elsewhere. It was a great goal the other night against the Winnipeg Jets. We'll see what that continues today against St. Louis. Not me doubting Brock Besser, and he played it pretty much the exact way that Rick Tocchet wants his guys to play. Ultimately, I think the stylistic fit of what Bo is as a hockey player fits almost seamlessly with the profile of the Vancouver Canucks as a team that could use a guy in the golfer spot and a sniper who can do some really good things at 5'5". That is almost exactly what Rick Tocchet wants. And he is there on a team that might be going down the drain soon in terms of selling all their collegiate assets. Now, you could say there are some other names that maybe the Canucks should be targeting from the Islanders instead, and Matty Ball Jones, Ross Nelson was already traded. But both were back. Facing the home of Husband feels a lot like the Starman super basic on himself. All of the names with heavy listing all the home with Husband. I like the sound of that, oddly enough. And it fits with what Vancouver wants to build right now, too. They need center support. There are only a few other centers that you can say would be available in the offseason on a team that's willing to sell a center or be a free agent. Matthew Shane is probably going to leave in Dallas. Are the Canucks going in on him? We had seen Jared McCann in Seattle as a potential option, although if I had to choose one or the other, McCann or Bo, I'd say Bo is probably the more valuable player. I just think that he's a lot more of a seamless fit than any of those other guys. Is this the familiarity factor coming in here? I don't know. Is that my biased Canucks fandom wanting to see 50-year-old baseball Horvat suit up in a Canucks sweater one more time? Maybe. And I get there also is an argument to be had as to whether or not he would wait to come to the Vancouver Canucks. It's actually talked about here in the replies of this tweet. Respectfully, he's not waiting to come here. Things are different with JT Miller gone. Bo apparently disagreed with JT's leadership style. It all been shown that his strong pitch to him and his no movement comes with him in Vancouver. You can see that even though there were some tough years here, he still ties relationships. I don't think he'd be a fan of being traded as the captain and then coming back. I understand that, but many players have gone back to their previous teams in the past. For example, JT Miller. And he still has some appreciation for Vancouver because he is a solid fit. And maybe if you wanted to put a Filipino in your middle bottom six, or you wanted to try Thea Suter as a winger full time, you could get some meaningful results there. And I know you could say, oh, you want to put Filipino in the bottom six. That's the entire problem that he had with the Rangers. I think the problem that he had with the Rangers was that he couldn't stay healthy. And now we're starting to see that a little bit more with the Vancouver side of things. Hell, if you really want the pace of play of a Filipino to be a primary focus on the Canucks forward core, try Hedl out of the wing. That's not impossible. I think he might excel as winger. Give more free space along the wings and room to maneuver without caring too much about back checking. I don't know. If you wanted to try Hedl with a Horvat or something, that doesn't sound too illogical in my opinion. There are conversations in the replies as well, whether or not the Canucks would be a better fit or Barzal, anybody else who is a center option available for all league this summer. And also, the idea pops up as to whether or not Brock Besser comes back, because if you go out the leaves, then all of a sudden that's a lot of extra cap space to invest here. I mean, ideally, to want to see Brock and Bo on the same line together one more time. Remember the people line? Fair to both Ross that was taken over the league back in 2017-18. That was a really big deal. Heck, there were a lot of really interesting both Horvat and Stone Bear two lines. I'm thinking about the Flying V line with Joe Virginia, Stone Bear two, and Bo Horvat. Then you also had the Ronald's Tennant's connection. Oh man, I'm getting nostalgic. Guys, this is bad here. I think it's only a distasteful idea in the minds of some Canucks fans because both format happened to a David former captain here. There was a reply on this Twitter thread that said something to the effect of, if Bo Horvath was not the starting captain of this team for so long when he was the former Canuck, Canucks fans would be all over the acquisition of that kind of guy on this team right now. It really is just a stylistic fit if you wanted to talk about the best targets available. So, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Is Bo Horvath a legitimate target for the Vancouver Canucks in terms of what it is they want to build? How well does he fit that mold? And would you do it? We're not even giving you the price here. What it would cost? What prospects or picks or other roster players would cost? We're just saying blow it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this British Ashroll 99. And bye. Only if it's not big enough, it's healthy. So, the Detroit Red Wings have themselves a big football race. Their last game was 2 days ago, on Tuesday. They lost 4-1 to the Washington Capitals, and it was kind of a bad game, we'll just say. The Wings, though, do not play from Tuesday up until Saturday, which means they still have another 2 days before they suit up and reach the biggest Golden Knights in Vegas on March 22nd. But with all this in mind, it gives us some breathing room to go out there and talk about some of the latest in Red Wings news. It's pretty unfortunate here, not gonna lie. This show is brought to you by ExpressVPN and Go Check out that first link in the description to save some money on your VPN, get some free months, and support the YouTube channel in the process. I'll also leave a link in the description to this article on PlayHockeyRumors.com by Josh Erickson. Injury notes, Red Wings, Romanov, and Jensen. Now, this article is nice because it goes out there and pretty much summarizes everything we need to know about since head coach John McClellan said. It's not good news for a tumbling Red Wings team whose playoff hopes are close to evaporating after a 2-0 run in their last games. Gustafsson is third in points amongst defenders with 18, trailing Seymour Edmondson and Morris Schneider. Sort of long, you'll see time in the top line until Martin as of late has 3 goals and 6 assists for 9 points in 22 games since being recalled in January. He is 58. They could be getting veteran defenseman Jeff Petrie back in the lineup soon. He was traveling with a club in the road trip after returning to practice. They won't play this weekend. He's been out since early January with an undisclosed injury, but has 6 points in 34 games to begin the year with a -7 rating. So this is what I mean about the article, right? Quick, easy, beautiful, cover girl. This was really to the point, and it just gives us the information that we need. Obviously, it's not ideal to see one of your top scoring teammates and one of your more productive, bigger forwards lose out on time like this, especially since they both got injured in the same game. In terms of what they got injured with, we don't know for sure. But there will need to be some adjusting here for the Detroit Red Wings. This is what the practice lines were earlier today. Red Wings is practicing these lines, projecting against Vegas Golden Knights tomorrow. Michael Rasmussen is up there on the top line with Larkin and Raymond. DeBrincat is with Casper and Kane. Bergeron with Copper and Tarasenko. And Shine down there on the bottom with Tyler Mott and the recently acquired Smith. Venture outsider, top pairing, Edmondson Johansson, second pairing, and Paul Petrie on the third, with Lagesson as the extra. Mrazek, Talbot, and Lyman all rotating in their crease. So, the lineup's not that bad, honestly. Like, I don't think you'd prefer to see Rasmussen on the top line, but you kind of have to at this point. You don't want to mess up with the break of Casper and Kane have built up. Casper has been so good as a second-line center at the NHL level so far. It is unfortunate because with the departure of Andrew Cup from this team, you're starting to see a little bit more just how valuable he really is. Obviously, I'm not saying that Cup is Connor McDavid out there, but just the role that he has as a minutes-eating, defensively responsible two-way center that doesn't get too many points. He just goes out there and facilitates play nicely and reasonably well enough that you can just kind of let him be. Let him do what he needs to do, and then you can roll everybody else out against lesser matchups in more strategic roles. Marco Casper being placed as second-line center is great because he can play it. But if you have Casper as a first-line wing or a third-line center, that gives him more opportunities to be great this young into his NHL career. Although I do say, it's possible that the development at center against second-line matchups will be more beneficial for Casper as well. If you're just looking at point production, okay, playing with Raymond and Larkin the entire time, then I guess you can give him as many points as he can get, but still, we can focus on development at the same time. And of course, when it comes to Soderblom, the big guy, the late-round draft pick, he's a newer global prospect that eventually became an NHL player. Well, you can go well, happy trades. He's always been awesome to watch, so it's tough to see him miss out on some extra time here towards the end of the season. I mean, at the very least, the Red Wings have been kind of sucking lately, so they're not really looking forward to too much out of this team in terms of the wins and the losses anymore. It's just part of the reason you would want to watch this team now, is so you can see Silverblom and Lincoln and all these other guys developing, becoming a little bit more comfortable. At the very least, Edmondson and Johansson are still there, right? They're going to be doing their thing against the Vegas Golden Knights tomorrow, but you know who else is also probably going to be there? Jeff Petrie. Whether or not he actually comes back and sustainably finds a way to produce, who really knows? It's going to be difficult to replace the production of Eric Gustafson. Well, we'll see. Talking about offense, talking about around defense, Jeff Petrie is a much different player than Gustafson, so they may not be fair to compare that to one. So one, because realistically, when you're talking about points with Jeff Petrie, I mean, he hasn't been great, to be honest. He has had better days in Montreal in the past few years before he was a Detroit Red Wing. And I can say that comfortably after watching him as a Canadiens fan in the 2021 Stanley Cup playoffs. That year, he was absolutely insane, produced so many points in the regular season, and then for some reason, he just totally fell off a cliff when he came to Detroit last year. He wasn't that bad last year. I mean, 24 points, still okay. He wasn't great defensively by any means. But this season, he was not producing much. He's got 6 points on the year that Jeff Petrie does. I don't care how many hometown Detroit connections and whatever stuff with his dad and the Tigers is going on here. Jeff Petrie is not the same player that he was a few years ago, and he's 37, so I don't think anybody's going to go out there and expect him to still be able to produce at a 40.
Oh, God. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot. Potatoes. With the potato. Potato. I'm going to use them after.
You see, during this quest, you're going to be faced with three options, and each one of them has its own set of rewards attached to it. But if you make the wrong choice, you'll miss out on some really cool unique weapons, armor, including a potential new secret follower, and even item locations with unique ingredients, permanent security increases, new spells, swords, food recipes, tons of gold, and a lot of little bits of added to the game, and you can miss out depending on your choices. And to make life easier, I'm breaking down each choice and also what get to each one. If you can then make the decision that affects you and your character. Everything is timestamped below if you want to skip ahead to check out all the different quest rewards that you can. But first, we're going to start out with how you actually start this quest. It's enough. So if you want more to teach this direct quest guide, make sure you subscribe to the channel because that's what this channel is all about. When we start this quest for ourselves, it's come all the way to the southwest of the map, to Valkyrie. Then once you actually arrive in Valkyrie, you need to find the Dead Hunt's Tree, which is like the local big. Let's head on inside. You'll straight across the on the right-hand side here, side of the roof, on the right-hand bedside table, there's a mysterious journal about the culture of the here in the forest. That's going to start the quest of dying with hallucinations. It's my journey from Marcas when the attack here struck. You can hear it in scars. I thought if I bit down on a piece of cloth, it would distract me from the pain. But eventually my joints could bear the weight no longer. I stopped at the lakeside ruin, looking for a place to rest. It was there, in the rise of the autumn fall, that I came across a strange altar, rooted into the ground. The side of the altar flowed over a speaker. Taking notice my apprehension of the old woman beckoned me forward. Wordlessly, she raised her hand and directed it towards the altar. He was asking, "It's you." In my travels, I have passed through the angry camps, and seen many twisted things. But unlike this, placed in this long hand were three empty bowls and a cup to fill them, and last the old woman spoke, with an accent taken in place. First of all, he said, will grant you power. The second will bring you fortune. And the third, however, will offer you nothing at all. Looking back now, I can't tell you if any of this was real. Some hallucinations that I dressed up to cope with some fever, but when you feed up the altar, there's no difference than a standing there, or a tribute to the forgotten. Still, I felt some pain to ask the woman how and when I could find my food. He said it was confident. Unfortunately, the attack here first with sweet ritual. Worse yet, the disease progressed to a constellation I was not to the outside of my choice. The same. So I wonder even now, if I make the right one, will win striker. So this is at the Riverside Druid. By the way, guys, give us a link to the mod list. You have to download it from the link in the description if you want to install the same one as me. Now you can be micro mod list right now. There seems like there's some dead bandits here. Oh man. So spring. You're a visitor come for me, spring. Get wrecked, son. The Taker's tactics. So here we are at the shrine where we have to make the most important decision. As you can see, there are three choices here. Altar of nothing, altar of power, altar of fortune. And if you skip ahead in the video, I'm going to be doing each one of these choices and showing you the rewards for each one of them, so you guys can find out which one you actually want to do. And we're going to have a little walk through each one of them. So starting out, we're going to go with the altar of nothing, which allows us to actually get the follower as well. Let's go ahead and click on this. Complete the shooter ball at the altar. Return to town. We're going to go ahead and fast travel back to Valkyrie. And as you can see, someone is running very eagerly at us. Look at him, so keen to talk to us. And then look at you. That's something we're supposed to do. Let's see what's on my head. And go. Read the note for the Vancover killer. Before adventurers, I offer you in the Rath's favor in exchange for your help. There's a great genius man in my care of the Temple of Kinneran. trees, once a stateless Skyrim forest, are all but extinct. Moreover, importing the fruit from the orchards to the south has been difficult due to the bandit raids and embargoes from the war. Our first attempt at securing the ingredient was lost. As the man's fever progresses, I fear a second request will come far too late. I've heard from the ferryman, however, that an ironwood grows on the island to the north with giant's tooth. The duty bound me to the temple, but if by any chance the winds of Kinneras see fit to bring one to your shop, please deliver it from Whiteground as soon as you can. A man's life hanging at the balance. Acolyte Elder. And this is the same man suffering from ataxia who originally found the shrine his journal was found. So now we must travel all the way across Skyrim to the north of Northstar, where we will find the ferryman. And hopefully the ferryman will take us to this secret island where this tree is still growing. Here we are at the ferryman's place. Looking at our boat. Indeed. And the beginning is part of the boat. A safe passage to the giant's tooth. Baby gold, eh? Well, that was great. It was really charming. I love it. Again, it's like, here we are at Giant's Tooth, a secret island off the coast of Skyrim. You can see it all the way out to north here in the Sea of Ghosts. So, interestingly, there's actually another boat in it, just full of skeletons. But if the last people you check over here, take their organs or something, they weren't dead. My God, okay, well. We've got what appears to be a giant's road, and lots of dead mammoths around here. Mammoths, now, I don't know why mammoths are dead, but maybe there's some kind of disease afflicting them. Are these friendly giants? Hello there. He seems pretty friendly. You've got a very interesting back out. You scratch your back to us. Oh God, if you don't like back to us, he is not a man and scratching the back of it. Oh, luckily, paralyzed him. They're rinsed up. Not taking out the other one. Be careful, funny kid. Michael, step back. One. Coming over quickly. On. Take these guys out. Just managed to kill him before he killed us. Giant's Toe, 200 gold. Alright, let's go and check around for this ancient tree. Now I've slaughtered the entire giant population. And then mammoths were dead. I swear to God, that was my doing. Oh, there has been human habitation here at some point. Investigate the cave. Fisherman's note. The nights are long here. The frost gets to your scale, but I'm really good stuff and big shell, as they say. So I've stuck to it. First save of the hardness by then I'll try and fit with the giants working. But 100 makes brave actions of us all. So I dove in and found the water scar. As for the actual job, it has proven a tough egg to crack. The ferryman did not lie when he said iron was glass was strong as a man's trust. Ours is the weight for the smaller fruits of the harvest. We're suggesting that we wait. In the cave, for the iron got far, I guess, into Iron Tusk Cave we go, where the trees grow from the cave itself. Ah, look, there's a little fox in there. You can't do anything but run away from you. I'm not being believed to be. Look at this. It's beautiful. There's even a nursery. The butterflies everywhere. How awesome. This is the ancient tree that Bart we're looking for. It has the ironwood fruit on it. So we can actually just oh my God, there's a friggin' mouse! Get away from me! Friggin' die! You're not getting low minded. It's me. Get away! Fast, please. What kills themselves? I'm going to load them. We must destroy full population on this island so nothing can survive. Finish it quickly before she yells. Yes. Get ready, son. Okay, now we're with all the wildlife on the island. We can now leave this place. I'll leave the smoke optimizer to the street here briefly. Here we are. Exiting the place. Oh my God, there's an ice break now. Why the hell? spirits because we slaughtered everyone. And now we can go ahead and get in the boat. Let's go back to the start. I'm not in the boat, you get something. Let's go to the one with your death accident or the one with your life accident. What do you mean? What do you need? How long did you take it back to Gold Star? Alright, now we have the ingredients. We can make the iron wood stick. Exactly a unique recipe that we've learned. So now we need to find a cooking station so we can make iron wood soup. This is actually a unique soup, by the way, that you can actually craft in the future as well. Not just the unique quest like I'm crafting now. But as you see, the iron wood soup restores 50 points of health and 60 points of stamina, and it cures all diseases. Now, it's called Skyrim Survival Mode. It's also going to fortify your wounds by 25 points for 200 seconds, and also restore 200 points of cold. It's actually a really cool, unique survival seed food item. Now, as you can see, the ingredients it requires jar, scuba hide, and stockpile. It also requires ironwood fruits. Now, the tree on the recipe to get the ironwood does respawn. You can also get ironwood fruit from the city's caravan that randomly appear in an inventory as well to drop. So, we're going to go ahead and drop this. I'm going to finish the quest anyway. And then we need to go through sample presets. You can find the sample presets located in on the map here, white rock. Once you want to hit white, I feel terrible. You give me 75 gold.
This season, discover a new way to enjoy the irresistible smooth texture of Lindor chocolate. Melt into a moment of bliss with Lindor mini eggs. From Lind.
Collect, customize, and compete. Baby Red X. First rates vary. Each sold separately, subject to availability. Welcome back. So, I've talked about the Rangers, I've talked about the Canadians, now I want to talk about the Islanders. And is it a bigger surprise that the Islanders are still in the hunt at this point of the season than Montreal? A little bit. We've seen Montreal go on these really, really good ones. And with the Islanders, it's just been, they don't lose often enough to find themselves out of victories. They find ways to get victories, and they stay in the hunt. So currently, they're 31-28 out of the Islanders, 70 points. 3 points back of the Montreal Canadiens, 2 points back of the New York Rangers, but they have, I believe, 2 games at hand on the New York Rangers. They are tied for Columbus and straight in terms of the points, so this is quite the log jam. And they're 1 point ahead of the Boston Bruins. So they have a 50-game late to the Islanders, where they're home against Montreal. And if they win that game in regulation, the coach starts with a fight Montreal Canadiens, and also the playoff line stays of Montreal Canadiens rather than the New York Rangers and the Canadiens month. But for the Islanders, it's playing games from the distance slowly. Half the midway mark of the fun is a little bit of surprise. Now, there's indicating after this one tonight as they come against Calgary on Saturday. That is one of those ones that should be winnable for a team. You know, you're home, you're in the playoff case. Calgary's also in the playoff case. It's going to be a fun one. And then they're home on Monday against Columbus. So 2 of the next 3 games, they can really do themselves a favor. They win both those games. They make the picture more dire for Columbus, and they might make things a little more difficult for Montreal to get that point. And then they finish the home stand next Wednesday against the Vancouver Canucks. And the Canucks have been very up and down, struggling against one of the best. I guess that's the like Boston Prophets, but like half of them are this fantastic, like Warriors style ceremony inside the top list that happened once. So then the Islanders close the road. They play on Saturday the 29th in Tampa. And then the next day they're in Carolina against the Hurricanes. And then a couple days later they're home against Tampa. I would think that the Islanders would really win one of those games. And or pick up 2 points somehow. If there's 2 overtime or 2 points, fine. But they need to get something out of these 3 games just because of those tight bunch there with everybody else. And we know they don't the schedule of all the teams that are on this board right here. In terms of the schedule. Then, continuing the homestand on Friday, 4th of April, they're against the Minnesota Wild. And then we round up that 3-game homestand. On Sunday, 6th, they're home against Washington. This is tough. This is probably almost a murder in row. Tampa, Carolina, Tampa, Minnesota, Washington. Washington might be home in full division, six up, no problem. Maybe Washington doesn't play their game and there. So Minnesota's in the dog fight, so Tampa, and so Carolina's kind of secured in that second spot, but we're going to want to make that business between them. So if the Islanders get emerged from this 5-game stretch here, not unscathed. I don't think you're going to get them in that 5-game stretch unscathed. But if they can save those 2-1 of those 5 games, they have a chance to work. Then they go on to win 1. They go to Nashville. They lead. That's the game we have to win. Then they go home on Thursday to transport against Nashville game against the New York Rangers. We know the like Husky strong in that game. Goal scorers. And it's an interesting because Rangers have style of hockey to the Rangers. Then they go on they're in Philadelphia on Saturday, the 12th of April, and the next night they're in New Jersey against the Devils. Those are former games they're going to have to go well. Their final game at home is on the 15th of April against Washington. So they have 2 remaining games against Washington Capitals. But both of them are at UBS, so it's that gives them a bit of an advantage, right? And once again, by this point, Washington probably got everything all fixed up on the resting guy. Not always, but they'll be resting guys. And then they go on the road to the Islanders and the regular season on Thursday the 17th at 11. So, 2 games against Columbus, but they've got 2 games against Washington, 2 games against Tampa. This is the process again for the Islanders. But would I be that surprised? I'm more surprised looking at the underlying numbers that seem so right, to be honest. So, in goal scoring for the season, 27 goals per game, that's 26 hockey. Goal against per game, 29, 4 goals against per game, that's 17. So, negative goal difference, we've got to make that swept the other day.